millions upon millions of possible roads. But in every one, another catastrophe recurs. The node collapses and the world is wiped out.
Welcome to MojoPlays. Today, we're looking at 10 Assassin's Creed theories that might be true.
Who are you?
Many names. When I died, it was Minerva. Before that, Minerva and Mera.
What do you think Ubisoft is hiding from us?
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Who was Jesus? Particularly during the first few games, religion was a very prominent theme. We had the religious conflict of the Crusades, and then spent so much time in Italy exploring huge Catholic churches. This meant that in the early days, there was a lot of discussion about Jesus himself, and suggestions that various pieces of Eden were involved in his life. But just who was he, according to the lore? Well, that's something we still don't exactly know. But somebody has theorized that Jesus was actually a remnant of the Isu sent to enslave humanity yet again. Others have suggested that he was a sage, or, potentially, part of the instruments of the first will.
Who are you?
They predicted the Animus.
Nothing is true.
Where other men are limited by morality or law, remember,
Everything is permitted.
Some have claimed that the creed itself, nothing is true, everything is permitted, actually refers to the Animus and has always referred to the Animus. So, nothing is true isn't a vague reference to the fragility of human laws and society, but means that literally nothing is true, because everything is being relived through the Animus.
He's experiencing a far better adoption rate than the other subjects.
I'm still pulling him out.
This sounds heavy, but remember, the Isu have definitely predicted the Animus, and their holograms reference it repeatedly. Minerva, when she meets Ezio beneath St. Peter's Basilica, talks directly to Desmond, because she understands what the Animus is and that it's being used to see through Ezio's eyes. So, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that previous assassins, researching the Isu, deciphered what they were talking about.
The rest is up to you, Desmond.
What? Who is Desmond?
The Return of Desmond and Layla.
Layla. Hello.
You know me?
This is a theory that we'll have to wait and see what happens with, because it very much could be true if Ubisoft decides to go this way. At the end of Valhalla, we see that Basim has tricked Layla into reviving him by bringing the Staff of Hermes into the vault that houses Yggdrasil. Layla dies, but her consciousness enters the Grey, along with an entity called the Reader, which reveals itself to be Desmond Miles.
It's a pleasure to meet you at last.
Who are you? And what is this?
Other characters trapped in the Grey over the years include Kay Zemeric, Subject 16, and Juno herself, who eventually breaks free. Could Desmond and Layla also break free of the Grey as Juno was able to? Potentially, and it would be very interesting to see if this happens.
A few billion timelines might take a while.
It will. But it will not feel like it. That is what I like about this place.
The Third Way.
If 100 minds could wish away a wall or create a tree, what might 1,000 do? 10,000? More?
Is it really the case that, of the enlightened few, you've either got to be an assassin or a Templar? Some think not, and that maybe there is or will soon be a third faction that wants to strike a balance between them. Now, fans know there already is a third faction, the Instruments of the First Will who worship Juno, but they've mostly disappeared now. With the revelation that Basim is actually Loki, perhaps he is the root to this third way, as Loki in mythology always shirked being fully on either side of a conflict.
Let us make this more interesting. We'll drag Sigurd into the fray.
What might this third group want? Perhaps to do the Isu's bidding and re-enslave humanity, Or maybe they want to bring about true peace by ending the fighting between the Brotherhood and the Order for good.
More samples to acquire. More artifacts to find before my will can obtain.
I cleanse.
Remember, you must hide the amulet where none might find it.
The Templars knew very little about the 2012 disaster, having been unable to access the vault and losing Desmond, whose genetic memories of Ezio and Connor were the key to figuring it out. At least, that's what the games say. This theory says something else, deriving from the literal translation of the word abstergo.
Hand over your weapons and come with me, sir. I can show myself in, but thanks for the offer.
In Latin, abstergo means I cleanse, which has led to fan speculation that perhaps the Templars weren't as in the dark as we think. In fact, some say that the Templars knew about the disaster, but with no way to prevent it, they built their own underground bunkers and were happy to let it wipe out the majority of humanity.
Here it is. Wait! No!
It's all a simulation.
My sense of being, nothing more, nothing less. No pain or joy or passage of time.
We know that the games are all technically simulations, but this theory suggests that absolutely everything is a simulation, both in and out of the Animus. This again goes back to things we've seen from the Isu, and specifically their supercomputer Yggdrasil, where we see the reader analyzing calculations that predict the future. So, what if we've never seen the real events of the games, because everything is just one of these Isu predictions of the future being shown to us? Like they say, nothing is true and everything is permitted. Could this mean that this is just one calculation of many? Multiple timelines.
There you are!
Hail Dragon, welcome!
In the same vein as the simulation theory is the fact that the Isu have many calculations looking at different possible futures, though we see they often lead to the same point, like humanity being wiped out by apocalyptic events.
The ground will crack and spit fire into the skies. All the world will burn.
Given how convoluted the lore is, and how it often contradicts itself, it would almost make more sense for multiple timelines to be the case, since everything could have taken place in parallel universes. These universes don't exist purely as simulations, but are all out there and correspond to the various ways the computer predicts events might unfold.
Millions upon millions of possible roads.
The Templars are the heroes.
It is time to begin your real education. As you continue your training in the Animus, those worthy will be admitted to the secrets of our order.
People have been speculating about this more or less since the beginning, as many of Altair's targets will explain their ideology to him. Then Ubisoft gave us characters like Haytham Kenway and Shay Cormac, who saw the Templar cause as the true one for bringing about peace within mankind. And we're still wondering now, what if the Templars are right?
Do not let his flattery fool you. We will only continue to educate you as long as you continue to show promise.
They do have the same goal as the Assassins, world peace, so they can't be too bad, right? And the Templars in the American colonies do things like breaking out slaves and even helping Native American tribes. Perhaps the Templars are the ones who really have it right, after all.
Well, I suppose the truth will have to wait.
All about Eve. Assassin's Creed 2 introduced us to the concept of the Isu creating humans as slaves, and Adam and Eve being those two slaves who broke free and led a human uprising against their creators. But ever since, we've learned surprisingly little about them. This theory, however, says that Eve is actually crucial to the ongoing plot, and that she might be able to be reincarnated as well.
Oh, she was magnificent once.
One of a race of beautiful, wonderful creatures.
Previously, it looked like only the Isu themselves got to be constantly reincarnated, like the first Sage Aita and the Scandinavian Isu, the Aesir. People want to believe that Eve, too, has been reincarnated many times, including in one important character, Evie Fry. This is all unconfirmed, but we'd definitely love to see more of Adam and Eve.
Adam, I have it.
Eve.
Minerva is the true villain.
No, not gods. We simply came before. Even when we walked the world, your kind struggled to understand our existence.
All this time, we've been led to believe that Juno is the big bad of the series, even though she mostly disappeared after Black Flag and Rogue. But Juno supposedly died in a spin-off comic, which isn't the way you treat such an important character. If that's the case, maybe there's another villain lurking somewhere within the lore, and some think that villain is Minerva, the first Isu that we ever personally interact with in the series.
You... But how? You left!
Minerva is the one who warns Desmond not to trust Juno, which is ultimately correct. But could she have deeper goals yet? Desmond did have to free Juno to avert the 2012 disaster, so perhaps Minerva wants revenge for this.
What future? What freedom? Billions dead and the whole cycle begun anew?
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.